Hello traders everywhere, Adam Hewison here, co-founder of MarketClub with your 1 p.m. market update for Tuesday, the 5th of July. Well, the big story today has to be the moves in both crude oil and the precious metals. Both these markets have made strong upward moves. The crude oil dump of 30 million barrels now is history, and it underscores just how little influence anyone has over what is arguably the most precious commodity for any industrialized country. Okay, is it me, or is it just a whole lot of smoke and mirrors going on in the political financial world today? It seems that the politicians continue to kick the can down the road when no politician either here in the States or anywhere else for that matter wants to say that there is no more money. Okay, is there a chance that Germany wants out of the euro? I believe there is. I also think that German citizens will ultimately become enraged at having to bail out weaker countries like Greece, Spain, Portugal. France, of course, has a huge risk as they have the most exposure to Greece, so they're going to do everything they can to hang on there. I believe the politicians are trying to protect the banks and their jobs at the same time. In any normal situation, banks just don't keep lending more and more and more money to anyone who can to pay back a previous loan. It just doesn't make economic sense. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to say what politicians will not say. And that is the king has no clothes. Only in this case, the system and systems are broke. Okay, so let's go to see how we can protect and grow our money here. So let's go right to the markets. And the market we're looking at, in fact, I want to go back to where we normally start, and that's right through to the S&P 500 cash, which is right here. And we talked about this last week. We said the market gave a buy signal right here at 1300. We're creating at 1338. We also said the 1340 is going to be resistance in this market. I still believe that's going to be the case. I also think that we're seeing this market build what is ultimately going to be a top, but it's too early certainly to get short this market, because this is what we're looking at. All of our indicators, every one of them, weekly, monthly, daily, all positive. It's a plus 100. Plus the fact, this is what I'm seeing here. This is what I'm looking for. This is kind of like this big sort of head and shoulders top that we can have. Certainly this level right here, the 1250 area, this is going to be definitely the line in the sand. And I think that's the key thing to look at right now, is that this is the what I consider to be the line in the sand, because that's definitely a key area for this market support. Now, this is an area that the market's had problems in. I think it's going to still present problems. So let's see what else is going on. Let's go back to our next market. Let's clear everything off the screen, and we can do that very simply. And we just go to our next market by clicking this top left-hand corner of MarketClub. It's so easy to do. Boom. The market we're looking at right now is silver. Lots of action in silver today, very strong upward move. It's not out of the woods yet. It's still a plus 55. Longer term, we're positive. Intermediate term, it's sort of a little bit negative. But look what's happening. We think we're building this huge energy base in this market to go higher. Clearly, there's good support right here for this market. And I think we need to clear over this level here, which I don't think we'll do any time in the immediate future. But I think it will be taken out, and I think we'll see this market go up along with gold. So let me clear everything off the screen again, and we'll go back to our next market, which is going to be gold. Gold, very strong day today, up some $25. We talked about this market having good support around this level right here. Let me draw that on the screen so we're actually on the same page. So we talked about this market having very good support right around these levels here, the 1480 level. We outlined that in last week's comments. The market bounced from there. Of course, if we scope this down even further, let me take this off the screen again. If we scope this down further, you can see we were in an oversold bullish divergence right there. So let's see how this market plays out. We're still looking for this market to actually go much higher later on in the year. We still think this is going to be a very important energy field that we're building right here. And this is not unusual for gold to have some big swings, $100 swings. We've seen that pretty recently. But you can see this We think this is going to be another big energy field that's going to propel this market once we go over the 1560 level to much higher levels. I think all the problems we see in the world with inflation, banks running out of money, countries running out of money, we're going to be jumping into this market in a pretty big way. So let's see how things play out. It hasn't made the turn yet. We're seeing sort of a little bit of a trading range, but nonetheless, we want to see this 15, 10, 15, 15 area, see what happens. Then if it gets over there, then I think we'll see a little more upside action. But let's go to our next market. Let's take everything off the screen. It's easy to do. And clear that off, and we go to our next market, which is crude oil. We talked about crude oil last week, about a bullish engulfing line. Of course, that, if we close higher, it is going to be a very positive sign this week and will confirm the bullish engulfing line on the weekly charts I showed you on Saturday. So let's take a look at just where we are on this market. The market was, as we pointed out, very oversold. You saw the, let me draw some little, get the telestrator back on here. You can see here where we have the market was going down like this, and yet the momentum was starting to turn back up. And of course we have turned up. We're in an area where we're a little bit overbought, much like here and here. So we may see some pullback, but it looks to me like oil is probably trying to build a base. It's still in a trading range, and you have to understand with a score of 55, it's a trading range. It's not a trend yet. It's not developed into a fully blown, strong trend, but that's something to watch very carefully. So let's go to our next market, which is going to be the dollar index. We talked about this, and we have got down to the lower. Let me push this up so you can see where we are. We got down to the lower level of an oversold. The Williams percent R. We're sort of turning up. We're at the lower end of the Donchian trade channels. That's channels getting tighter. This indicator, our long-term indicator right now, is still negative on the dollar index, as it has been since 81.45. We're currently trading at 74.51. So it still hasn't turned up. We may get a chance to get short this market because I think ultimately it's going to probably turn back down and take out the 73 level, but it's not there yet. The trend is longer term still negative, negative, negative. So let's go to our next market, and that's going to be the Reuters Jefferies CRB index. And again, this is a classic example of bullish divergences. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. So we turn this on, and I'm going to look at two things. One is we talked about the lower end of the Donchian channels, which is right here. You can see the market making new lows, and yet look what's happening to the momentum. It's actually going up. So a low here, a higher low right here with a lower low in price-wise. That's what caused the rally, in my opinion, also at the lower end of the trading range and the Donchian channel. So we're looking back for this market to go back up, potentially to test the 350 area, which is right here, and we may see some a near-term test of maybe the 345. It's all going to depend on crude oil. That's the thing that's driving this market right now, and it's a very, very strong part of the CRB, the Thomson Reuters Jefferies CRB commodity index. Again, if you want to track inflation, look at inflation. Don't listen to what the government's giving you, because it's not good. It doesn't include energy or food, and this particular index does. So it's a very, very important element for you to watch and get some direction from. If we see this market take out the 350 level, then we're going to be heading up to much higher levels, and that's we can go considerably higher. And let me just scope that out so you can get an idea of where this thing can go to. Clear. Hold on just one second. Let me get this. We can go way, way up here, right to 460. It's a huge move, and that's something you should really be. I'll take everything off the screen, all these trade triangles. You can see this market is basically still, this is a correction in a longer-term bull market. I could well see this market going higher. But let's play with the trade triangles. Let's see if we can get those signals. And hey, this is Adam Hewison. Thanks for stopping by today. Our show is tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss it. We're going to do an hour show, or 45 minutes, and we'll go into a lot of these markets in more detail and give you some trading tips that'll help you become more successful in the market. Every success.